I'm Gloria Barnhart, and today I'm going to be talking about a heart disease known as hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, or we're going to call it HCM for short. So the term cardiomyopathy actually has what the illness is inside of it. So cardio, it means heart, myo is muscle, and pathy is for disease. So that breaks it down a little bit, kind of makes it easier to understand where it got its name from. So to understand how HCM affects the heart, let's discuss how a normal, healthy heart functions. So blood will come up here, and we're going to go in through the inferior vena cava, and we're going to go into the right atrium. So when the blood flows from the right atrium, it'll go through the tricuspid valve and enter the right ventricle. It'll go up and it'll go through the aortic valve, and it'll go out and it'll go to the lungs for oxygen. So once the blood has received some oxygen, it'll come back in through the pulmonary veins, and it'll go into the left atrium. Then it'll go through the mitral valve and pump into the left ventricle. Then it'll go up and it'll go through the aortic valve and go into the rest of the body to be distributed, the fresh oxygen. So HCM is one of the most deadly cardiac illnesses. It's also one of the most common among teens that suffer sudden cardiac death. They usually find this out when they're overexerting themselves in a sport or exercise. So how the heart is affected by HCM is it typically involves thickening of the septum and or the heart wall. Septum is located right here in the middle, and it divides the two sides of the heart. So in HCM, this septum right here becomes enlarged. I'm going to give you an image of how much smaller that left ventricle becomes. So when you have a patient who has an enlarged heart wall, that can make the left ventricle even smaller. Now, the less blood that can pump into this is the less blood that can go into the body. The muscle actually, it doesn't necessarily become weaker, but it becomes more difficult to flex. So it makes contracting of the pumping motion of the heart harder for the heart to do. This typical HCM that I just went over is non-obstructive. An obstructive example would be if the septum were to be enlarged and the wall were to be more enlarged. It actually has a chance that it can obstruct this mitral valve right here. And this mitral valve getting obstructed actually can cause a backflow of blood from the left ventricle right back up into the atrium. So HCM is typically caused by genetics. It's mainly a genetic disease. Usually if one of your parents has it, you have a 50-50 chance of having it. There are a few treatment options for it. Medication is the main form of treatment. It actually just depends on the severity of the disease. Medication can include beta blockers or blood thinners, something along those lines that's gonna thin the blood out and make it easier for the heart to pump. But there are actually surgical procedures where they go back in and they actually remove this portion of the septum and remove a portion of the heart wall, causing it to have that open space again. I hope you found this video informative and helpful. I enjoyed making it. It was very interesting to learn about HCM. Thanks.